Ang taba mo, or you're getting fat. That's one of the most common things you will hear in the Philippines. We usually do it when we see like like a relative or an old friend that we haven't seen in a while, and we see them again. So we comment on their weight. And one viewer actually wrote me a very mean email about this, criticizing that aspect of our culture. They it's a very mean comment, so I don't want to, a very mean email, so I don't want to read any part of it. But that's basically what he was saying, that it's very offensive. We should stop doing that, and that the country in general should be more accepting of obese women or plus size women. He's saying that we're so obsessed with weight, and so we don't we and that we should be more inclusive, basically. Okay, I have a unique take on this, and so please bear with me and allow me to explain. But let me clarify one thing. Filipinos are naturally small. We're just small. So you're not going to see a lot of big people in the country or in the showbiz and in the entertainment industry just because we're just naturally small people. I'm actually 20 pounds overweight. I'm small here, but there I'm actually large because the country's just small. I mean, our people. Okay. Now, it is true that we say that to our relatives, like an old friend that we don't meet, that we haven't seen in a while, or our relatives, and we see them and we're like, oh, ang taba mo, or you're getting fat, or you're fat. And to a certain degree, I do not want to change it. I know that's odd, but I feel like it reflects that we don't really consider the physical form to be so sacred that we're not able to talk about it. If you can speak so freely about something, it means that it is not sacred for you. And that means that we are not that superficial to look at people and judge and love them based on their physical look. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope I did. Okay, but like, if you, like, religion is something sacred, and you can't just go up to people and criticize their belief, because that's something sacred, right? So that you shouldn't ever do. So it's the same thing. Now, if you flip it the other way and you talk about something that you're able to talk about so freely, it means it's not sacred. And that's the physical form for us. It's a physical form. It's a medical form. It's a biological thing and not something sacred. And so to a certain degree, I kind of appreciate that aspect of it, because for us, your weight is a medical condition. You know, if you're gaining weight, that's not healthy, and we can talk about it because that's a medical condition. I know people are going to say, but my medical condition is something private, and so whatever. Okay, I acknowledge that. Okay, the other thing is that I feel like you're insisting your sensibility on my country. And as I've said, it is not a part of who we are. It's just the sensitivity towards our weight is not a part of who we are. And I appreciate that, because there's a certain liberation, certain freedom that you will have when you know that it is not, as I've said, something sacred for us. It is something common, something that we can talk about. The other thing is that, and this is the truth, there was a time when anorexic-looking women were hitting the stands. They were on the cover of all these glamorous magazines, and they were the most popular people and the most desired women. And we criticized them because it's an unhealthy thing. We were so mad because it promotes an unhealthy image to women, because it is a medical condition. It is not healthy. So we should do the same thing for extreme obesity. We should not glamorize them because it is not healthy medically and biologically. And I think that's where the contention is in my head. All this woke group, this woke people have turned obesity or anorexia, I don't know what it's called, but those super underweight people, into a social issue when it is a medical issue. When somebody is morbidly obese, it's not healthy. You shouldn't glamorize it the same way we refuse to now glamorize anorexic-looking women, because it's not healthy. I'm personally 20 pounds overweight. I know I have, and weight has always been my issue. I've always had a difficult time dieting, but I'm not talking about going back to 95 pounds. I just want to be healthier. I just want to be able to walk again, run again. I want to be at a weight level where I feel light, I can move around, I can feel mobile and just healthy in general. So I'm not talking about trying to look like, I don't know, Jennifer Lopez. It's just, you need to be healthy. I don't want to be so comfortable with this. I don't want to live in a world where people will just think that this is okay, because it's not. Because medically, it's a medical condition. It's not a social condition. It's not about aesthetics. It's a medical condition. Extreme obesity is unhealthy. It is dangerous. It can kill people. You can get a lot of complications, and it can kill people. And we need to pull it back into that. We need to stop thinking about aesthetics. We need to stop thinking about social whatever, acceptance or whatever. It's just a medical condition. Now there are three things. There are three situations. One is that if maybe somebody is just going through a medical condition and they can't control their weight. And it is a private thing. You do not owe anybody an explanation on your medical condition. If you're sick, then that's all for you to keep. If you want to keep it, you don't have any obligation to explain yourself. So in that condition, I will just go back to what I said in the first part, and that is that weight for us, the physical form, is not something sacred for us. So even if somebody tells you, "Hey, you're getting fat," don't take it as an insult, because it is not an insult for us. But I think it will only hurt you if you yourself put too much effort and too much weight on your weight. If you do not, even as a person, if you're confident that you're more than what the scale says, then being told that you're fat shouldn't matter. Especially if you're going through a medical condition. Now, I know that on the other aspect of that is that it can be painful to you, especially if it's like a difficult medical condition and you don't want to be reminded of it. Yeah, that's painful, and I acknowledge it. Second is that there are some people who are chubby, just naturally chubby, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about morbid obesity, not just overweight people or just chubby people. Next is the people are saying it could be about mental health. Maybe people, somebody might not be in the best medical condition, and being told about their weight, it may make their condition worse. I've always felt that mentally Filipinos are some of the healthiest in the world, and it's reflected on our low suicide rate. We have some of the lowest in the whole world, if not the lowest. And I think that's a reflection of how healthy we are mentally and emotionally. And I have no way of proving this. But my theory is because we have our value system, that's our foundation is our family, and our attachment and our love for our family sort of makes us all stronger as people. And so instead of having to we have a strong support system, basically. So I would credit it to that. And I don't ever want the Philippines to go the route of America in terms of mental health, and that means becoming overly sensitive to everything. Number one, we just don't have the luxury of doing it. Our country is in so much trouble. We have so much work to do that we need to really develop a thick skin. We need to set our priorities right, and weight is just not one of them. I would rather pour our energy into and our attention, and give all of the attention and the time that we have on basic stuff, fixing our political system, fixing the justice system, education for young kids, women's rights and human rights, not just women's rights, but human rights. All of those basic things that a country should enjoy. I would rather people, and this is not going to be easy. So our journey to that is not going to be easy, and we cannot afford to have a thin skin. I would rather us to become resilient, to have a thick skin, and to be able to withstand whatever trial and whatever criticism that's thrown our way, and just set our priorities straight. I've always believed in Tyrion Lannister of Game of Thrones. Okay, so there's a quote that no, but Tyrion, there's something he said in the book that actually encapsulates what I've always believed in, and that is, he said one time, let them see that their words can cut you, and you'll never be free of the mockery. If they want to give you a name, take it, make it your own, then they can't hurt you anymore. So I think even psychologists and sociologists, when something hurts you, it is not, the solution is not to keep you away from that thing. It is to desensitize you from it. That's why, when you're angry at your father or your mother, the solution is to actually go to your mother and resolve your issues. It's not to stay away. Getting yourself away from something that hurt you will not solve it. It's not going to make the condition better. It's just going to make it worse. The solution is to actually desensitize yourself from it. So if somebody says, ang taba mo, own it. You can still be glamorous. But yeah, I've never believed, Philippines as a country, as people, and Filipinos as people, we're not mean people. That comment has never been grounded on insult. It has always been grounded in concern. It may have been not delivered consistent with Western values, but that is consistent with Filipino values. So I actually don't mind. I don't want to adopt the sensitivity of Americans, of the Westerns when it comes to that. And I still want Filipinos to understand that it is a medical issue. If somebody is morbidly obese, that's a medical condition. That has nothing to do with social acceptance. It has nothing to do with aesthetics. That is purely a medical condition. And we should not glamorize it the same way we shouldn't glamorize super thin people.